his head, I want you to go to the next corner deli, and I want you to stand on your head. And Tony's like, wow, I really need to get to bed. So he's driving along and he sees the corner deli, and as he passes, he has a sense that I need to be there. He thought, no, this is just weird. He's driving, and also he gets a sense again, you need to go into the corner deli and stand on your head. And Tony's like, man, this is just way too weird. I'm going to keep on driving. So he keeps on driving along. He's going, and then all of a sudden the voice says again, go back to the deli and stand on your head. So Tony pulls over and he goes, look, God, if this is not me just being crazy, I want you to make it really, really clear to me. And I don't know what made it clear to him, because all he said was, he got the voice in his head again, I want you to go to the corner deli and I want you to stand on your head. So Tony turned his car around and decided, I've heard this enough times, so it's about time I listen. He drove back to the corner deli, he parked his car, he gets out, he walks into the deli, he's sort of looking around, there's absolutely no one in there except for one shopkeeper. He's sort of pretending like he's got something to buy, and he's waiting for some sort of sign, and he got nothing. So right there and then he thought, well, I've got nothing, there's one person, so here goes. And he walks into the middle aisle, and I'm not going to try this, but he does a headstand, and he stands on his head, or he tries to stand on his head. And right then and there, the shopkeeper just breaks down crying and just starts weeping and weeping and weeping. And Tony's like trying to stand on his head, just sort of comes down and he's like, dude, what's wrong? And the shopkeeper says, tonight, I plan to commit suicide. And I made a deal. I was going to kill myself, and then someone walked in and stood on their head. That is freakishly crazy. You see, I think it's kind of easy to think, wow, Tony's this awesome guy being used by God. He must have had an awesome experience at that church service with thousands of people. He's one of those massive churches preaching God's word. But I can guarantee that the highlight of that night, the coolest part about that night, was hearing God's voice, being challenged to do something crazy, who's being told to stand on their head, somewhere random, and then being able to sit on a deli floor and lead a man to Christ, also knowing that he's just saved that person's life. That is awesome. Hey, there's another story. Another time I was at church in New Zealand. There's a number of stories running out, so stick with me here. I was at church in my church in New Zealand, and we had 3 services on a Sunday. There was one at 8 a.m., which I never went to. That's way too early in the morning. We had one at 11 a.m., which I used to go to. And then there was one at some time in the night, was for the youth and young adults. Now, whenever the youth would come to the Sunday morning church, whenever they came to the morning church, the 11 o'clock one, we had like a youth zone. It wasn't an official zone, we just all sort of sat in the back left-hand corner. But in another one of these services, no apparent reason, I don't know why, I ended up sitting in the middle of the church, just in front of the sound desk, kind of isolated from everyone. And there was absolutely nothing special going on. The singers were singing up on stage and people were worshipping God. And when I suddenly just became aware of this married couple in front of me, I don't really know them. I didn't know them at the time, and I don't know them at all now. I think their names were Fiona and Cameron. And I think they were in their late 20s, early 30s, but all I remember was that I was 15 years. And I'm standing in the middle of this church, and I get this message that your marriage, their marriage, not my marriage, I wasn't married, I'm 15, their marriage is about to break down. And I'm like, huh? What's up with that? I'm like, I don't even think I know their names correctly. That's weird. And so I'm standing there in church and I'm thinking, well, where am I supposed to do that? And I'm looking around, and people are singing on the stage, and there's people singing in the congregation, and there's this couple in front of me, and they're holding hands, and they're singing songs to God. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I feel this deep sense of anger coming down. And there's this anger between them, and I've absolutely no idea what I was supposed to do with it. That day after church, I went home and I said, hey Dad, do you know Cameron and Fiona? They look like this, the guy had this prominent scar on his face, I described them. And the lady looks like this, she had long hair and she was pale skin and more glasses, etc. Dad's like, yeah, I know them. I was like, do you know if they have any problems in their marriage? And he's like, no, not that I'm aware of. Why, what do you know? And I was like, nothing, I know nothing at all. Some time passed, I can't tell you how much time passed. And then one day the roles reversed. Dad came up to me and he said, remember what you asked me about Cameron and Fiona? I'm like, yeah, about their marriage. He's like, yeah, what do you know? I said, why? He said, they're having some issues. And I said, well, this is what happened to me in church. This is interesting, and the conversation was left there. And I didn't follow that conversation up at all. I know I'm 15, so I'm not really thinking these things through. But some time passes again, and they broke up. And some time passes again, and I don't know how long exactly, but they eventually ended up divorced. And I've often sort of stopped and asked myself, why on earth did I get that message? And what on earth was I supposed to have done? I mean, come on, they were way older than me. I was 15. Could I have made any difference? I don't want you guys to get the false image. I'm standing here saying, oh, if I had spoken to them, I could have saved their marriage. It's not like I can do any marriage counseling, anything like that. But I have to ask myself the question, why did you know that? And what should you have done? Because what I do know is that when God speaks to us, He always speaks for a reason. And we're called to respond no matter how odd the message is or how crazy the message is. Because God always, always has a purpose for speaking. And that's 3 stories down. Fourth thing I want to draw attention to is the series. We're going to watch a clip from Star Wars. It's the second clip that the sound people are probably going to freak out because I'm doing things slightly out of order. It's from the film A New Hope. And it's a climactic battle at the end of this film. So if you haven't seen it, well, that's terrible. But if you haven't seen this film, basically what's happening is that Empire has this Death Star, it's this round orb, and they're trying to blow up this planet where the Allied rebel forces have just figured out the last way to possibly save themselves, and they've sent up a small troop of soldiers to try to infiltrate the one weakness. And I guess as we watch this little segment, there's a whole bunch of action scenes, a whole bunch of great narrative, a whole bunch of cinematic stuff. I want us to watch this, and amongst all of this, try to pick up the God message that's present in this story. So I want you to turn your eyes to the screen, and the guys are going to show it to us now. Clip number 2.
Ship standing by. Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances.
Rebel base 3 minutes and closing.
Red boys, this is Red Leader.
Rendezvous at Mark 6.1. This is Red 2. Light foot. Red 3 standing by.
Red Leader, this is Base 1.
Keep America group out of reach for the next one. Copy, Base 1. Good. Take Red 2 and 3.
Hold up here and wait for my signal.
Start your round.
This is it. Keep your eyes open for those fighters.
There's too much interference.
Red 1.
Good sign any.
Weak. 9.35.
I see them.
I'm in range. Target's coming up. Just hold them up for a few seconds.
What's the formation?
Almost there.
They're right behind me.
Almost there.
I can't hold them.
It's away.
Negative. It didn't go in.
Get on the surface. Right above you. Turn to point.
05, we'll cover for you.
I just lost my starboard engine.
Get set up.
Fair attack run.
Rebel base 1 minute and closing. Big boy, let's go to that. Going in, we're going in full throttle.
That'll keep those fighters off our back. Right with you, boss.
Look at that speed. Would be able to pull out in time.
He's just like Beggar's Canyon back home.